I'm back. Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I don't even remember how to start videos anymore. We're just gonna go with the flow. Thank you so much for sticking around. Welcome if you're new. I know every single booktube channel under the sun has talked about this book. I've seen a lot of different opinions. I've seen a lot of different hot takes. Why not add my own? Add my hat into the mix, is that the saying? That's why I'm not wearing a hat. Because I've added it to the mix. As you can see from the thumbnail, the title, and just the general vibe of booktube at the moment, we're talking about Katabasis. Katabasis. A little bit of background. I've read every single Kuang book except Babel, the one that I have a physical copy of. I feel like you need to be in the right mood to read something as heavy as that. It is my current read at the moment. I'm a couple of chapters in and already the quotes have hit me really hard as someone who speaks 3 languages. Not very well. Taking all that into consideration, it's no surprise this was one of my most anticipated books of the year. Just the premise alone was exciting, and I know she always has something to say and to critique in her books. I think I enjoyed this book a lot more because I knew what to expect. I knew her writing style. I had a general sense of her characters. Everything she does is intentional. You know, she's going to pull very closely from the research that she does, and from hearing her talk on panels and events, you know, she also pulls very closely from her personal life. So this book follows Alice Law and Peter Murdoch, I have to say their names in their respected accents, who are academic rivals, but of course there's more under the surface, as they descend into hell to rescue their professor. For the letter of recommendation he needs to write them. The quote, "to save his soul, perhaps at the cost of their own," mainly focuses on Alice's journey and her growth and coming to terms with what's happened and her disillusionment with the systems that she's given her life to. It takes place in the 80s at Cambridge University. Even though you don't spend much time there, we see little bits and pieces of their life through the flashback chapters interwoven with the main story, because they go to hell right at the start. And coincidentally, hell is a campus. I think the explanation given was that it presents itself differently for everyone, and they see this version because it's the version they're most familiar with. I want to talk about some things that really stood out for me. The magic system in particular was so well thought out and unique. The way she weaves together a whole bunch of literature, philosophy, poetry, mythologies, religions, sciences, all so seamlessly, bringing in real-world references, paradoxes, delusions, perfectly captures dark academia, not only inventing a new field of study, but branches within that and what success means in the world of magicians, while having a lot of substance, emphasis on character, and being thematically sound. When I say everything is well thought out, I mean everything is well thought out. Even the title itself has different meanings according to a video I saw of her talking about it. It's not just a descent to the underworld, it can also be overcoming the lowest of the lows, really entering their own personal hell and then coming back up to the surface, which I guess every definition can apply to this. There's details like world building from our own history and recontextualizing it to fit into her world and adding an extra meaning, an extra layer. She'll directly mention The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, and then have quotes embedded later on. I just thought it was all incredibly clever. It not only gives gravity to the world that she's creating, but also makes her own worlds a little bit more magical. Also, I have to shout out any and every time an author mentions Mesopotamia. Put some respect on the cradle of civilization, inventors of the wheel, writing, astrology, and a whole bunch more. Really able to enjoy the book at whatever level of close reading you choose to do, or you can revisit different references. There's just so much going on. It doesn't feel overwhelming at any point at all. You don't need to read Dante or Virgil, but of course it does add another layer. The way this book started out was very fun, very lighthearted. For example, there's a bit that made me laugh at the start where they're in Pride and they're listing the reasons the ghosts have found themselves there, and they come across a table of creative writing majors who are all glowering at one another. And as a creative writing major, I'm not gonna lie, that did hurt my pride a little bit. So touche. Not too much on the creative writing majors though, we've been through enough. I also really enjoyed the vivid descriptions of hell as a campus and the gradual turning that into a vast emptiness that you can see in your mind's eye. Even though it references a lot of different materials, it still feels unique in its uncanny terror. As we move further into hell, the more that gets revealed, gradual reframing of the narrative and intentions. As more information is discovered, the darker and deeper it gets. I found myself wanting to pick this up and read it to really uncover what happens, discover more about them, and see what they're going to encounter next. What's really unique about her writing style is she never casts these moral judgments on her characters. They're flawed, they make so many mistakes, but the choices that they make are very understandable. Forced to confront and reach these earth-shattering conclusions about themselves and the world, and about how they've chosen to spend their time and how they think about other people as well. How insidious these internal biases are, and if you're not careful, how they can hurt you the most. In that complexity, both characters are humanized, like made more believable. They're really at their lowest. Like you have to be willing to go to the lengths that they go to. I'm a bit partial to characters that are as ruthless as Alice. They're just so compelling to read about. Wanting to find that sense of belonging, willing to do anything to succeed. She needs that recommendation for a future tenured position, and she's gonna do everything in her power to get it. But then you learn more and it like changes your idea of her, recontextualizes the entire narrative and why they're even in hell and the journey. The way the narrative is told, the way the information is revealed, there's as many layers to hell as they are to the characters, because you're gradually discovering them as they are gradually making their way deeper and deeper. So the characters' emotional journey mirrors their physical journey as well. The way these characters like really grow and the way she depicts these spectrum of emotions that they go through, the actual like roller coaster. Coming to terms with like the reality and the frustration. It's not always linear. That disillusionment doesn't always happen in a straight line. Like there's always a part of you that like has to fight back. That reality before she fully accepts it. Described in the prose so well, and Alice's interiority, her interior monologue. See the similarities and differences she has with Peter as well. They're familiar with each other, and there's also this strained distance between them. The way she writes these relationships, they're paradoxes within themselves. Everything informs everything else. You really understand these characters on a deep level, to a point where so much is conveyed through what's not said, through a single look. I think that's a mark of a really good, well-written book. Really enjoyed the tangents and the debates they go on, and those like chapters in between that explain the world building and the history. I think I've met anyone in academia that doesn't go on tangents anyway, so it's fun. Again, I love world building. I love the lore. The way it's tied into this as well, like little asides. There's a sprinkle of world building and history, things that'll excite you. And over here is some things about characters that'll deepen your understanding of them. Putting that in gradually throughout the non-linear structure really kept me engaged throughout. I'd say she's the type of author that writes to make sense of the world and her experiences, sort of like exercising her thoughts to the page, which a lot of writers do. But again, everyone does it to a different extent, and this book, though it's a different genre, it's a different focus, it still stays very true to how she writes and her sensibilities, if that makes sense. Like her writer's voice is that she's a scholar. Her primary focus is that she's navigating this incredibly mainstream place, being authentic to her voice and genre hopping, which is virtually unheard of in screenwriting, but I guess in like a lot of other disciplines as well. But this is just where I learned it from. It's like drilled into you each and every project you start, even in marketing, art. It's the question of audience. Imagine your audience, describe your audience. Who is this for? And she is in a very privileged position where she has hit this mainstream. She's a celebrity author. Being one of the most popular authors comes with a wide-ranging audience. And if you're genre hopping as well, it adds to that expectation, that history, that experience, the different lenses each person like views art from. People also engage with text in very different ways, not only from like person to person, but also from book to book. So it's a very delicate balancing act. The push and pull of explaining these complex concepts that she adds in her books becomes a sort of, pardon the pun, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Get it, damned, because hell is in the book.
Oh my God.
There are people that have read the assigned material that she said inspired this story. Others like me, knowing a fair bit about mythology, having that background, having that context, with the science and maths like completely flying over my head. If she hadn't explained it in such a way that was very easily understandable, everything is explained to the extent that you need to comprehend the story. And that is not an easy feat. So personally, I don't find it an affront when authors explain concepts, especially ones so heavily rooted in academia, because there is nothing wrong with demanding to be heard and demanding to be understood and comprehended. She's explaining history and concepts and mythologies from all over the world. It's not only like the writing style, but it's also a book inclined towards that academic world. It made perfect sense to me. The way people made it out, it felt like she was explaining interactions. Like, oh, he doesn't look at her, maybe because he's sad or disappointed. Like, that's not the prose style at all. There's still a lot to be inferred and imagined. I think I was like surprised at how easy this was to read. Again, by design. It's not being pretentious. In fact, it critiques that pretentious world. It makes sense within the wider context of the world. Everything is told in such a neatly compact way where no chapter, no word is wasted. It demands to be understood. She wants to tell this story and she's telling it in the way she wants to. That was my interpretation of the book. It met and exceeded my expectations, which was for a well-researched adventure that stayed true to the authorial voice. At the end of the day, it accomplishes everything it promises. The ending idea that there should be more to life. It shouldn't be this one single-minded, unhealthy, obsessive pursuit. It should be well-rounded. Stop and smell the roses. I think that's such a beautiful message to end on from characters that have like literally been through hell. The real journey to hell was the trauma we unpacked along the way. There you go. Those are my thoughts on Katabasis. I just wanted to share them because I've seen everyone else sharing their thoughts. If you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. 100% of the people watching my channel aren't subscribed, which is both embarrassing and kind of sad for me. So press that subscribe button. I know I've been on a little hiatus. Every time I've been trying to record, been a bit busy, or now I'm still recovering from being sick, if you can hear it in my voice. But yeah, hopefully more videos to come in the future. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you on the flip page. No one is surprised, but this is the second time I read a book where a couple descends into hell. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.